Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Welcome back.
So, we are going to talk about, guess what?
Jupiter!
Yes, we are going to talk about Jupiter in Vedic astrology and also in mythology.
It's a very, very important planet, highly influential.
Yes, not only is it the largest planet in the solar system that we know of currently,
Right, exactly. That's just that.
we just got to stick that in there. It's thought of as being the king of the planets in so many ways. Would you say there's anything malevolent about Jupiter?
I wouldn't say malevolent. I can say that Jupiter in some houses might feel uncomfortable with certain planets to make it give ill effects.
But overall, it's thought to be a very, very benevolent sort of energy.
Yes, wherever Jupiter sits, it brightens that house and makes things better.
And it's also thought to be like a guru, Guru Dev.
Very much so. Jupiter is a guru. Jupiter is a teacher, a counselor. Jupiter is your wisdom. Jupiter is not necessarily your wealth, but Jupiter is the opportunity that you get in life to create that wealth.
And I've also heard you refer to it as almost like a Christ energy, a Christ consciousness energy.
That's what I get when I channel into Jupiter's energy. I get a very Christ-like energy. That's the best way that I can put it. That vibration. They say that Christ isn't going to appear before us, but we will take on the vibration of Christ. And I feel that's Jupiter.
And you've basically channeled Yeshua and have made contact, and you would say that the energy there is one of love, compassion, warmth, but also kind of a seriousness.
A sturdiness, something that is serious, but very, very benevolent.
Solid.
Absolutely.
Wise.
Very wise. Jupiter is your divine wisdom.
Yeah, just making the correlations between the similarities and energy there as well from like what you've described of Yeshua, what I've felt of Yeshua. And then Jupiter, which is also basically known as Brihaspati. And this is the Jupiter symbolism as a more humanoid being. And as we've talked about before, everything is consciousness. So when we're looking at planets, they're beings. These are beings with personalities. They have their own energies, their own tendencies. They are beings that are living a more human existence as we speak in other densities and higher densities.
Exactly. So when you're dealing in astrology, the astrology is the study of light and how it hits the human body and then how we react to that. So Jupiter being a being, depending on where it's placed in your chart, you're going to feel the light of Jupiter. And depending on where it's placed and where it hits your body, you're going to get those reactions. And that's what the sages spent all that time doing, is writing down the effects of each individual planet.
And, when you were saying it's the, science and the art too, of understanding the effects of light on the human body, because light is a transfer of knowledge, of wisdom, of information, and each planet has its own tendencies. Again, if you looked at us at our core, we basically would appear to be kind of an orb. We would be a ball of light, a ball of energetic light. That is what we truly look like from a different density perspective. Like when we shed this body, we're just energy. That's what we are. We're a ball of conscious energy. And so when we look up and we see Jupiter, which is so much more massive than the Earth, and so much more massive than any one of us, it's a being that contains a lot of information.
Well, yeah, that's really important to acknowledge too, because wherever he sits also has a huge influence on that planet if he is sitting with someone. And Jupiter brings a lot of expansion to wherever it sits.
So, we had a session this week with our brother Eric, and Eric brought up a great question. Why do you think astrology works? Why do you think astrology works? And I told him, well, basically, this is a fractal holographic reality that's really, it's a matrix, and we could view it as everything that we know is one big computer program, so to speak. So I love this photo, and Cindy loved it too, because you see that the references to the fractal there, with the baby being born in, and also over here with what could become, the flower of life into the tree of life, the Fibonacci sequence, everything is reflected when we come in, when we step into this existence. And I think that we know exactly when we're going to step in. We try to. Sometimes there's forces that will hinder things. Hey, we could go biblical and look at, Herod and everything, and Christ being incarnated. We could look at all sorts of difficulties that happen to try to change the timing of a certain individual coming into the world that has a huge mission to do. Because they know on the soul level, when you're on the other side, you understand. You're kind of like, there's a freight train going by, and you're waiting for that right moment, perfect moment to jump, because it's going to be the best opportunity to give you everything that you're going to need as far as all the influences of these other dynamic, powerful beings in our life to help us to achieve the purpose for our life, because there is a purpose for each life. There's a main goal, so to speak. There's something that we're coming in here to do, something that we want to learn and experience, and also in many cases, I think even with souls that maybe have gone down the wrong path, so to speak, and are moving away from source instead of moving back towards source, every time I think when they are incarnating, there's the karmic factors, which are taken into consideration, but also, they're trying to both atone perhaps for things that they've missed the mark. That's actually what sin means, missing the mark, so to speak. So they're also looking for the perfect timing to maybe have a little bit more Jupiter influence us in a certain way, so that maybe we'll be a little more benevolent ourselves, and a little bit more of a teacher and share someone that's sharing wisdom with others. So I think everything that we see, we could easily view it as a computer simulation of sorts. The real us is just consciousness. We're just basically these conscious balls of energy, and we're waiting for that perfect moment to jump in to the matrix so that we catch the light, the information that Cindy's talking about, reflected off these beings, because they are beings, which gives us certain characteristics, certain strong points, maybe certain weak points. Maybe we have weak points on purpose because maybe in the past they were a strong point and we couldn't control that energy. And something that could have been good, like, we need the strength of Mars, so to speak, in our lives. Otherwise we'll get walked all over. But it has to be tempered as well. So very interesting. And I don't know, I'm just being told to say, hi, Raj.
Hey, hi Raj, that's great. That's wonderful. Absolutely. Well, when you get your chart done, it is a little bit about finding kind of like the low-hanging fruit, I would say, in your life. Like, what am I good at? What are my strong points? What are my weak points? Is there anything I should avoid? And I think astrology works because at its core, it's very scientific. It's all about the math. And, even though I wasn't really good at math, I'm still very intuitive, and I can feel these planets and I can feel their influence. So, between that and the math, I can get things done and help people understand, okay, well, this is where maybe you should put your effort and your focus, and maybe this is where you could work on some things, because I also feel it's a way to find out, what do I need to overcome,
And going on that line of thinking, like you're saying, well, maybe I should find what the low-hanging fruit is. The things that I'm good at, natural inclinations for, my natural weak points as well, and recognize it. In understanding that, then you start to understand your purpose in life. And that's a huge aha moment. Like, you might think that you want to be a corporate CEO, but maybe in the last life, you were a king, and maybe the power got to your head. And maybe you didn't rule as benevolently as possible. So maybe Kitu is going to be in a spot that's going to bring you back into the spiritual side more. And maybe wealth and riches won't come to you so easily because you've already done that. And that's all done. You need to learn this. You need to help others with this first and foremost. That's what this can tell you. It could give you a glimpse of, well, if my strong points are there, my weak points are here, then maybe I'm supposed to do this. Maybe I'm supposed to be, in service to others. Maybe I'm supposed to be a songwriter. Maybe I'm supposed to, be a doctor, a nurse, a healer of some sort. This could give you insight into your own purpose. And when we're living our purpose that we had set up before we came in here, then you start getting the synchronicities and things roll along the right way. And I've experienced it firsthand when I've been in a relationship and I didn't go along with what I felt. I just made my partner happy and everything went the wrong way. And all of a sudden, I found myself deep in debt and just everything falling apart. And, it wasn't until I said, no, I can't do this anymore. Boom. I'm going to jump this way, and I'm going to take a real serious chance. And then all of a sudden, everything starts falling in place. Mm-hmm. Even though it might look like you're insane. Yeah. And that's why, as we said before, billionaires really pay close attention to Vedic astrology.
Oh, they most certainly do. And it's also another tool that I use when I do a soul realignment because, well, as we're born, we're kind of given these tracks to go down in the path of life. But traumas happen, things happen, and it kind of nudges us out of that track. So when we're doing a soul alignment, it's really, I think, I like to have a chart to go with it, even though it does take some more time to get that done. It helps pick someone up, put them back on their track of life, and let them kind of move forward again, along with other tools so that they know and understand what they're good at.
That's a key. That is such a key. So, talking about Jupiter again, it's known as the Guru, Guru's teacher. As we had said, it's also known as Brihaspati, Devagura. And these names mean basically in Sanskrit, teacher, Lord of Light, and even teacher to the gods. Jupiter is a second most beneficent planet after Venus, generally considered to be the most auspicious of the planets, and he rules over the two sidereal signs of Sagittarius and Pisces as well.
Yes, there's just so much to Jupiter. I mean, anyone with all the information on Jupiter could sit here and just talk about what Jupiter signifies for, a minimum of 30 minutes. But ultimately, it's very powerful, very useful, very, a lot better in certain placements than others. But no matter where Jupiter sits in your house, it's going to bring an expansion and enlightenment.
I kind of think of Jupiter as the benevolent ruler. That ruler which is almost unheard of in this world, that is full of riches and wisdom and is wise enough to know how to use the riches in the right way for the benefit of all.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's what I feel that it kind of understands, and that's what it brings to us as well.
Fascinating too that Jupiter is the teacher of the gods, the teacher of the gods. So we could definitely bring some more wisdom into our life by knowing how Jupiter is placed in our chart. So, as far as looking at it, Jupiter is believed to be the bestower of successes, generally believe that one who's graced by Jupiter commands respect from others. as well for that wisdom that's shown. Cleanliness is a virtue preferred by Jupiter. And again, it's the teacher. It's the teacher. So persons with the grace and favor of Jupiter enjoy elderly quality. As we get, a little bit older in life, there's that respect that's there for somebody that shows the wisdom of Brihaspati. And so if we want to draw a little more wisdom into our life too, we could not only understand the positioning, but also, there are mantras, which I'm going to give you, that you could draw in the energy. Again, when we do a mantra in Sanskrit, it's like picking up the phone and dialing.
It is. And, the mantras are really great and they work really well. But if you're in a pinch, you can pray to Jupiter.
Yeah, you could. And, it will answer. The energy, the consciousness that is Jupiter will answer. They really will. Jupiter is an indicator of fortune, wealth, fame, luck, but also devotion and faith, spirituality, charity, morality, meditation, mantras, children, magistrates, ministers, lawyers, and leaders, righteous leaders, not like the leadership we see, on the planet now. It also can represent sacred scripture, wisdom, benevolence, and philosophy as well. Jupiter's most favored position is in the first house.
Yes, it is. I mean, if you have Jupiter in the first house, then you have a lot going on for you.
And Jupiter is the teacher of the science of light. And you actually have a book called The Science of Light, I think. Yeah, and that covers everything, really, in Vedic astrology. It's a good book.
It's a very, very good book. Highly recommended.
So it's really a benevolent planet. And again, anybody that's interested in a chart, feel free to reach out. She's cringing. She's getting better. I think she's only maybe 9 or 10 backed up now instead of dozens back up. Each chart usually takes her about 2 hours to go through, put together, somewhere around there. And then we'll set up a time for a session. And, generally it's about 45 minutes to an hour to go over the chart and then have a biofield tuning, and I run energy at that same time as well. So we go through all the chakras, all the meridians, the major organs, as well as the entire energy body. And so I got a couple links here for you guys that are interested in reading a little bit more about Brihaspati Jupiter. And there's 3 simple mantras, and I'll give you the simplest one, number 2 here, and I'll have the links for you guys to call on that energy and bring it in. So, Om Brim Brihaspataye Namaha.
I couldn't repeat that really.
It's once you do them 108 times, they usually start to sit good.
Yeah, I'm a little slower. It usually takes me 108 times about 10, and then I got it nailed.
Well, I think I know you have at least 10 to 15 mantras that you have completely memorized, maybe 20 at this time, and I'm not even sure how many I have. But this is a really good benevolent energy to call into our lives.
It's a very good energy, yes.
So we want to thank everybody for being part of the family. Thank you for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. We couldn't do it without you guys. Reach out to us at EEARTS at Proton Mail or evolutionaryenergyarts@gmail.com. May you guys always be blessed with abundant peace, love, and prosperity, and keep safe. God bless and namaste.
God bless and namaste.